Hello, Ceci. How are you?
Fine.
Yes, fine. Have seats. How are things going for your thesis? Do you have any questions that you want to discuss?
Yes, about the apple style.
Okay. Let's take a look here. All right. What's your question about APA?
Yes. Well, can you? Can you go? Can you go
down?
Yes. Can I do that? For example, seated by Dana and.
Yeah. So here you're saying Thompson and Rubin argue and I cited in. So yeah, this I understand this then that in Dana 2004 they mentioned Thompson and Rubin.
Yes.
Okay. So in your references you'll only include Dana 2004, not Thompson or Rubin. But it's okay how you have it there.
Yeah, that was my question. Also, I have some other citations where I wrote, for example, Dana 2004 cited. I don't know. Robinson 2000.
Okay, well, one thing with like as cited in. Wait, no, sorry. This should say as cited in. So instead of cited by. So as cited in Dana 2004. Okay. Now, your other question was related to this.
Oh no, those are like I'm still fixing some of my paragraphs.
Okay.
They are like notes for me.
Okay.
But
now, one thing I want to suggest is not to. There are two ways that we can cite. We can cite based on the author, or we can cite based on the concept. When you say Dana says, we're focusing on the author. When you say here, when you say, fortunately, well, let's see if there's another example. Okay, yeah, I don't see many examples. And let's see. Here's one. Videos. All right. Videos also allow students, and then the citation with the year. This is an example focusing on the concept. So when I say a citation can be either focusing on the concept or it can focus on the authors. This is an example focusing on the concept, and this is an example focusing on the author. Wait, no, let's see that example. Here, this one. This is focusing on the author. See? My recommendation would be to include more or focus more on the concept than the author.
Okay.
All right? It's very common to focus too much on the author. And it's okay to use, according to Ellis, it's okay to focus on the author occasionally, but I would focus more on the concept. That way, I think it'll help you with the flow of ideas about what you're talking about. And really, the concepts are more important than the authors. Okay, so go through, and you don't have to change all of them, but look and see which ones you could change. Right, saying the same thing. The only thing you're doing is changing from focusing on the author to focusing on the concept. Okay, so does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so double check that, and even with your examples here, when you start using these, the same kind of change the concepts. So when you look at your sentences and you're flowing, you're making sure your sentences flow and connect. that you're connecting ideas. When you start throwing in authors, sometimes it gets harder to connect those ideas that start to separate because you're focusing more on the author. So keep that in mind as you develop your literature review. Okay, is there anything in particular you want to discuss?
Yes, maybe about the content of the first
section.
Title section. I don't know.
All right, so let's look here. We have thesis statement: the use of captions in videos. All right, so do you have your main sections? Have you decided on the main sections of your literature review?
What do you mean by main section?
Okay, so this would be your first main section. A main section would be a level 2 heading, just like you have here. So they're the main sections of your literature review. You're probably going to have anywhere from 2 to 4 main sections in your literature review. So when you get started, sometimes it's easier to say, okay, this is my thesis statement. To support this thesis statement, I'm going to talk about this, this, and this. And so those will be your main sections that you want to talk about. So have you decided on the main sections?
Yes.
So first is videos and authentic as a part of authentic materials. This one is just another developing, listening through the use of strategies. See?
Yes. And the last one is related with the caption.
The use of captions inside the EFL classroom. So, ¿esos son los tres? Okay, vamos a ver. So, what was it? Use of video. ¿Verdad? Okay, so video. And what was the second one?
Learning strategies.
Okay.
I mean, developing this.
Something on developing. Use of captions. Use of captions. Okay. So video and authentic material. So you can talk about authentic material and video. Okay. So differentiating between the authentic and non-authentic, correct? Okay.
Well, I just focus on authentic materials and their characteristics, maybe advantages.
Okay, now, we've talked, I think, in prior sessions about developing an argument and claims. Is it becoming a little clear as to what a claim is for you, or do you still have some doubts?
Well, I think that claims are like something that is, well, a statement that is like maybe doubtful, or it's real, or it's like
Yeah, it can be considered debatable. In other words, you can say, this claim that I say is either true or false. It's right or wrong. It's real or unreal. It's debatable. So there's a really good video here that talks a lot about claims. This one's really good. It's like 40 minutes, and you can kind of fast forward it, but it's a really good discussion talking about what is and what is not a claim. So I just added these last week, so you might want to look at this if you haven't already. Writing claims, particularly this video, this one. Critical thinking, issues, claims, and arguments. This one. They're both good. In fact, all of these videos relate to claims, but this one in particular, this last one, really is a good explanation for what claims are. Think of your claims. Now I have your three main sections here, and I have here claim 1, claim 2. Each claim is going to be a topic sentence, or a topic sentence is a claim. A topic sentence, that is the first sentence of every paragraph, body paragraph, is a claim. Okay? Those claims, you're going to link these claims. So this is one claim, here's another claim, and these are paragraphs. Claim 1, claim 2, claim 3, claim 4. Let's say you have 4 or 5 paragraphs in this first section. You're going to have 4 or 5 main claims that link to this idea of video and authentic material. So when you develop each of these sections, think about those claims, those topic sentences. That sometimes is the hardest part of developing, is that topic sentence, stating a claim. Typically, a claim is not a definition, and it's certainly not a citation usually. It should be your own original idea, but it should be debatable, where you can say it's true or false, it's right or wrong, it's that there are two perspectives of it. For example, if you say learning English requires practice, okay, that's not an ideal claim. It is a claim, but most people would agree with that. So we want to try to come up with claims where there are two sides, where you can talk about both sides, because in an argument you want to talk about both perspectives. So every technique has a weakness, right? So you want to talk about, even though you really like this technique, you talk about the good things about this technique, and then you talk about the weaknesses. But at the end of the day, it's still a good technique because of this. That's kind of the idea. Okay. So when you talk about authentic material, authentic is good, but maybe there are some cases where there's some challenges, or maybe it's not the perfect time to use authentic material. So try to keep that in mind whenever you're developing your claims, your ideas, your paragraphs, making sure that you're logically presenting ideas that support this overall idea, this section, in this case, video as authentic material. Okay? Same way with developing strategies and the use of captions. Now, does that make sense so far?
Yes.
Okay. So we have developing learning strategies. So think about those paragraphs, those main ideas, those claims that are going to support developing learning strategies. Now you might mention here, you might be more specific, learning strategies for what's are we focusing on? Listening. Okay, so maybe you modify your second heading, learning strategies for developing listening comprehension, or for assisting learning comprehension. See? Video. Do you talk about listening comprehension or not?
Yes. Well, I don't remember exactly what, but yes, I mentioned something about related with with listening comprehension.
Okay, so think about how you want to do this. So, do you want to talk about video first, or do you want to talk about listening comprehension?
Well, in fact, I talk first about videos, and then about listening.
And why? I mean, are you okay with that? Or, for example,
Well,
are you talking about video in general?
well, I'm talking about like authentic materials in general, and then I try to make like the emphasis in videos, and then I wrote about listening strategies because I think like it's like a videos and authentic materials like more general than
Okay.
listening strategies.
Okay. So my question is, do you talk about listening strategies in the first section with videos and authentic material?
I don't think so.
Okay, just check.
Mm-hmm.
Because my point is, we don't want to mix, because maybe you don't want to talk about listening comprehension at all in this first section. It's all about video, authentic material,
okay.
the pluses and minuses, da 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 da. And then the last paragraph, that last sentence, you transition into listening strategies. And then in this section, then you introduce listening comprehension and listening strategies.
Okay. That maybe it could be like a confusion between the second one and the third one, because I'm going to talk about the captioning, and maybe, as you said, I could talk about captioning in the second topic and vice versa.
Yeah, so that would be my next question.
Okay.
Right, just as we did here, making sure that, okay, we're going to talk about video first, authentic material only, then transition into learning strategies. Now the same thing. What's the difference between this section and this section? What are you going to talk about in learning strategies and listening comprehension? What are you going to talk about in captions?
Okay.
And, how, do you relate? And the idea here is, even though you don't talk about listening strategies here, when you're in listening strategies, you can talk about video.
Mm-hmm.
Ahora sí, porque ya explicaste. Sí, entonces sí, de hecho, es recomendable que estás conectando las ideas sobre lo que ya mencionaste con the new information. You're linking it. But you don't want to talk about something first that you haven't talked about yet.
Okay.
It really belongs in a different section.
Okay.
See? So you can point backwards, but you can't point forwards. Okay? So now my doubt here really is used with use of captions. Yeah, I'm not sure, because in learning strategies, maybe talk about listening comprehension, okay, listening strategies. But at some point you want to talk about video, and when you start talking about video, probably you're going to talk about captions. So I'm not sure how you want to organize your ideas, but it should be really clear how you want to do this. One option is divide up into two sections your thesis, your literature review. First, video, authentic material, and the second section, developing learning strategies, and you transition into captions, but within one section, or modify this heading to a differently, yeah. Because here, developing learning strategies, you can talk about. I mean, one is a strategy using video, and another is a strategy with listening comprehension.
Mm-hmm. Well,
kind of. So, like, one could be, and I don't know if you're going to talk about captions and video. No. All right. So for me, that sounds like a technique, or that you can use, or maybe a strategy of using captions with video.
Mm-hmm.
So this would mean that you have enough information to talk only about learning strategies here for listening, and then here this would be video strategies, or strategies to use captions with video, algo así. Pero todo depende qué tanto de información tienes para cada parte, ¿no?
Okay.
Si lo tienes así más o menos la misma cantidad de información o cosas que tú quieras explicar, está bien. Pero si tú dices, no, nada más tengo un poquito aquí de captions, más aquí, es lo que tiene que organizarlo para que Que no tienes un main section aquí de un párrafo, por ejemplo. Cuando estás hablando así de un montón de otros. Esa es la idea. ¿Sí? Entonces, hay muchas opciones, pero sí tienes que pensar así de la organización. Y ya dentro de cada sección, igual, cómo vas a presentar cada idea, cada claim, cada párrafo. Así, en una manera que es lógico. So it's logical if you're going from the general to the specific, the theoretical to the practical. If it's a process, first you do this, then you do this, then you do this. Chronological, todo esos son ejemplos y puedes mezclarlo, todo depende en los conceptos, los claims that you're using. But it should follow some logical order so that it's easier to understand, right? If you're talking about a process and you go from step 1 to step 3, then to step 2, then pues no, va a ser más difícil entender. Okay? So, and that's what I'm going to be looking at first in all your works and all the thesis. I'm going to be looking at the thesis statement, the headings. Okay. The headings, is that aligned with the thesis statement? Bien. Each section 1. Topic sentence, topic sentence, topic sentence. Está alineada, sí es lógico. Ok, entiendo. Ya desde ahí, cada párrafo. Topic sentence, bien. En cada párrafo, los supporting sentences, está alineada, estás hablando de este topic sentence, bien. Sigo así. Sí, entonces no, eso es lo que... The introduction, no me interesa. Ahorita, nada más thesis statement. In the research questions, las preguntas de investigación. I'm looking at the research questions and the thesis statement, making sure the thesis statement answers the research questions.
Okay. Teacher, I have a question about the research questions. Do I need to put like number 1 or number 2, or it's like an inside of
I would because how many questions do you have? Like
2.
Okay, I would list them, but not with bullet points, just in a sentence. So for this research, right, the following questions will be investigated. I will investigate the following questions, and then you type in the question number 1 and question number 2 and how. So you can list it in a sentence in paragraph form, and you don't have to list it as bullet points. But that's the last paragraph of your literature review, and the only time in your literature review where you're going to reference your research. So that last paragraph, you can say, this research, ya puedes hablar de tu investigación, pero antes no. Entonces antes no vas a hablar de this research or I'm investigating. No, this is all about the experts and presenting an argument. Just very much like a persuasive essay or an argumentative essay. ¿Qué más? Any other questions?
No, I don't think so.
No? Do you feel comfortable with the order, how you want to present your ideas?
Now that you suggest me to maybe combine the second or the third one, or maybe change the title, just because I have a little bit of problems, like relating dividing the 2 topics.
Okay.
So, but I think it's like.
And do you have, if you combine these 2 sections, are you going to have more or less the same information in both? More or less.
Maybe a little bit in the third one. Well, second one and third one.
Well, but are you going to have 3 headings, 3 main sections, or 2?
Well, I need to check if it's better to combine the last 2.
Okay.
The second and the third one, or maybe finding another
topic or another way. And maybe it's just a matter of changing the heading. I mean, read everything again and ask yourself, what's the main idea here? And then make sure that your headings are very descriptive of what the main idea is. Same way with the body paragraphs. When you finish each paragraph, each one, make sure, go back and say, okay, do I have the main idea? Do I have evidence, analyze, and linking sentences? in each paragraph and do my supporting sentences discuss and support the main idea. Because sometimes we have to go back and modify the topic sentence after we write it. We say, oh, I kind of changed a little bit the idea, but it's still logical. Then maybe you go back and change the topic sentence. Okay?
Yes, brilliant.
All right. So go ahead and try to finish up and for Friday. I'm going to give you feedback, give everybody feedback this weekend, starting this weekend. And then you're going to have basically until May 23rd to make those changes. Okay, so I'm going to be giving you feedback as if I were an examiner. I'm going to be checking everything so that you guys know exactly what to expect. I don't want any surprises where you are getting feedback and you're asking, well, why didn't we discuss that in tutoring session? I mean, I want to try to be very detailed and trying to give you as much feedback as possible to make the right changes so that the first draft, more or less, if you make all those changes, any changes that are that need to be made will be minimal, will be very small. That's what I want. That the first draft is pretty close to being what it needs to be, right? And then that way, hopefully, you'll have a better product at the end, and you won't, that you'll be fine for the final evaluation, right? So that's the idea. Now, as far as your grade is concerned, these individual grades for the literature review and method section, I am giving less weight on those individual sections, and I'm giving more weight on the first draft for May 23rd. So don't be too concerned about the individual grades going throughout because they don't weigh as much as the first draft. The first draft has a lot of weight, but again, if you make those changes, then you'll be in a better position and you'll get a better grade, obviously, than if you didn't make those changes. So it's important first to ask if you're not sure about the feedback that I'm getting, and two, that you do your best to make as many changes as possible so that that first draft is in good shape. Right? Okay. All right. So next week we'll start working on our instrument design. So we need to start changing gears for next week. But you will have time to work outside of our sessions, primarily on your literature and making those changes. Okay.
Okay.
All right, Ceci.
Thank you so much.
Have a good week.
And see you next week.
All right.
Thank
Bye.
You, bye.